Hi, this is Omar at Top 5 E-Bikes, and today we're going to do a full review of the KBO Hurricane. Our review will include 4 main parts, which will be the specs of the Hurricane, a quick review of the unboxing and assembly, a test ride, and lastly we'll share our final thoughts on the Stealth e-bike. This is not a sponsored video. Full disclosure, KBO did send us this e-bike, but our video will contain 100% our thoughts and opinions. There are affiliate links in the description that you can use, so if you decide to buy this e-bike or any of the accessories linked, you would be supporting Top 5 e-bikes and allowing us to continue making videos like this one. Thank you. Now let's talk about some of the specs of the Hurricane. Two of the really cool features of this e-bike, aside from its stealthy look, are that it's a single speed bike and that it has a belt drive. It also weighs around 36 pounds, so it's easy to carry and move around. Battery-wise, you'll find a concealed battery in the down tube of the frame. The battery is a 36-volt, 9.6 amp-hour battery with Panasonic cells. The motor behind this pedal assist only e-bike is a 350-watt peak rear hub motor that will get you speeds of up to 28 miles per hour. Other features include mechanical disc brakes, thinner tires much like a road bike, an LCD backlight display, and even an LED headlight. And you get all of this for under $1,100. And by the way, there's currently a $50 off coupon from KBO. Now let's talk about the unboxing and assembly. This being the second KBO bike that I received, I can say with 100% confidence that they do a really good job in packing their e-bikes, better than most companies out there, since you can read about other companies' issues with packing of their bikes. With this bike, it's mostly assembled. You only need to assemble the handlebars, the front tire, the pedals, and the seat. KBO did send me fenders, but because I live in Southern California, it's not something that I usually add to a bike. But it was pretty easy assembly, didn't take too long. And this is what the KBO Hurricane looked like after unboxing and assembly. Now let's get into the test ride. Overall, it's been a blast to ride. This is the first e-bike that I've ever ridden that had a belt drive, and I have to say that it's pretty noticeable. With the belt drive, the force that you exert through pedaling is more directly translated into the motion of the wheels, so it actually propels you a little bit faster. So it's faster without increased watt power, which is why even though this e-bike has a small motor, which is a 350 watt peak, it actually feels much faster. Since it's a belt drive, there are no external gears on this bike. It's a single speed, and actually, in the case of this bike, there's no internal gears either. But it's not an issue for this e-bike. In my opinion, part of what makes this e-bike great is that you'll get part of the feel and workout of a regular bike while on an e-bike. When going uphill, I could definitely feel it. I would describe it to someone by saying that my 32-mile ride on the Hurricane felt like a 15 or 20-mile ride on a regular e-bike. The bike itself felt pretty good. The seat is cushioned really well, especially for a stock seat. And I was able to ride it for a couple hours on one of the rides, and the bike felt fine. I do think that the handlebar position is one where some people may want to get an adjustable handlebar extender if you want to be able to ride more upright. You can see here my cousin who's riding, he has to bend down to hold onto the handlebars, so one mod that would be good would be a handlebar extender. The other thing I'd point out about how it rides is that since the tires are on the thinner side, this e-bike rides more like a road bike, which makes it very nimble. And in my opinion, part of what made it actually a fun ride for me. As I mentioned earlier, my longest ride was a 32-mile ride. That was actually a battery drain test where I was trying to see how many miles I could get out of a fully charged battery on the Hurricane, and it was 32 miles. So we'll link this video in the description. You can take a look at it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Just know that you can get around 32 miles if you're going on the highest pedal assist level on this e-bike. And I weigh around 220 pounds. It was a little bit windy, so those are kind of important factors there. But just know that this is what you can get out of this e-bike. All right. So now on to the things that I liked about the KBO Hurricane and the things I didn't like. So we'll start off with the things that I liked. The first thing that I'll say is that I really like the color. So the matte color of the bike makes it seem like a really cool bike. Also, the name of the bike is Stealth, the Stealth e-bike, and this color actually makes it look really stealth. So I thought that that was one of the things that I really liked. Another thing I really liked about the e-bike was the belt drive. So I had never owned or ridden a belt drive or bike in general, e-bike or bike, before the Hurricane, and the belt drive is pretty freaking cool. So I really enjoyed it, and I mentioned this in the video that it just feels like it's more powerful, more so than a chain, and you don't have to deal with a chain. And I've had chains break, and so like the maintenance piece of it too was part of the reason why I wanted a belt drive e-bike. So, anyways, I really like the belt drive of this e-bike. Another thing I really liked about this e-bike is how light it is. I mentioned this, it's 36 pounds. Yep, that's right, 36 pounds. Most e-bikes are probably around 60 pounds. You know, on the lighter side, you might find them for 50 pounds, but 50 to 60 tends to be the typical weight of an e-bike. I actually have one that's over 70. I have a cargo bike. So this bike is pretty light. And I think because it's so light, you can actually use it. I would say that it's perfect for using it in the city. So if you're in an urban environment, this is a perfect type of bike. It's also perfect if you have to take it up, say, a set of stairs or a couple flights of stairs, because it's a bike that you can actually carry, and it's an e-bike. So there's not many e-bikes that you're going to be able to carry up a couple flights of stairs. One other benefit, which I didn't realize this when I received the bike, I actually have the bike right now up on a Harbor Freight bike pulley. So there's not many bikes again that you could probably e-bikes that you could put up on one of these bike pulleys because they're rated for 50 pounds. This bike's 36 pounds, so it's actually perfect. Right now, it's actually above one of my cars in the garage, and I suspect that I haven't. Full disclosure, I haven't tried this, but you could probably put the Hurricane on a regular bike rack just because it's so light. So normally you would have to get a hitch rack to put an e-bike on there. I think this one probably is safe to put on a regular e-bike or on a regular rack. And lastly, I really like the range. So this was a bit of a surprise, and I mentioned this in the video that I made where I drained the battery of this e-bike. I didn't think going into it, and this is me like being 100% honest, that I was going to be able to get 30 plus miles. I thought maybe 20. And that was just based on the fact that we had just done a test on the Roadster V2, the Ride One Up Roadster V2, and we got around 20 miles out of that e-bike. It does have a smaller battery, but I also thought I'm heavier than Damien, my partner at Top 5 e-bikes, and it was a little bit windy, so I just didn't think that I was going to get more than 20 miles out of it. So I was so surprised. I thought it was going to be a way shorter ride than it was. So that was definitely one of the things that I really liked about this bike. So yeah. So now let's talk about the things that I didn't like. And some of these might be nitpicking, but I didn't want to mention them in case you're thinking about this bike and you're trying to decide if this is the e-bike for you. The first thing that I would say that I didn't like are the brakes. So they are mechanical disc brakes, and that should be an upgrade over a bike like the Roadster V2, where Ride One Up didn't use mechanical brakes. I didn't feel like the brakes were great. I mean, they definitely worked, and there's nothing wrong with the brakes. But if I were going to buy this bike, I would just buy upgraded brake pads, which shouldn't cost you that much. But it is kind of nice that they're mechanical brakes. So just keep that in mind that you're going to get mechanical brakes with this bike. You can upgrade them a little bit, and then I think at that point you should be fine. The next thing I didn't like, and I had mentioned earlier that I liked the matte color of the bike. I think overall, though, KBO could have done a better job of just making sure that the detail of the frame was a little bit cleaner. There were a couple items, like one item is at least on the bike that I got, you could see the serial number in the front of the frame. And so I feel like they could have done a better job of just kind of
either painting over that or covering it up with the logo of KBO, doing something because it looked kind of weird to see the serial number in the front of the frame. And I feel like other bike, like for example with the Breeze, they have a commuter bike. KBO has this commuter bike, and we reviewed it earlier, and we'll link it in the description. That bike is beautiful, and they did such a good job with the frame and the paint, and in terms of the look of it, it was just perfect. And I don't think they did the same thing with the KBO Hurricane, although again, there's a price difference between the Breeze and the Hurricane of a few $100s. Another thing I didn't like, and this is more of just pointing this out, is that it's a bare bones e-bike. I mean, it does cost, it's probably going to end up costing you under $1,100, and it does not come with a kickstand. So if you do end up buying this bike, I would recommend that you just buy the kickstand from KBO because it's solid. And just spend the extra $30 on it. It doesn't cost that much. It's probably better than what you're gonna find on Amazon anyways. And I recommend it because you're probably gonna drop this bike. And I haven't dropped the KBO Hurricane, but I've dropped the two other bikes that I have that do not have kickstands. So I would say you should get the kickstand. And then lastly, and this might not be an issue for you, and this is definitely a hot topic if you're looking at belt drive e-bikes, if you go on Facebook message boards or Reddit, that the belt might slip. So this is just normally what happens with belt drive bikes. You have to adjust them, especially if from a hard stop, if you're trying to push it pretty hard to move, then you might feel it slip. And this happened to me a couple times. Again, I've ridden this bike, I think at this point, 70 plus miles. So not unusual, but I did want to mention that, depending on how you're riding this bike, you might have to do slight adjustments for the belt. All right, so now that I've told you what I liked, what I didn't like, let's just end it with my final thoughts. I think overall it's a great e-bike. I mean, it looks great. It's a belt drive. It's super light. It's a single speed, and again, it just looks really cool. So I think KBO did a great job in making this super affordable belt drive e-bike available for all of us. So again, I don't think you're going to find many bikes that are in a similar price range that have the features that this e-bike does. So I think that if you are looking for a cool bike, a single speed, something that feels more like a regular bike, and that also has the help of the motor of an e-bike, then this could be the perfect e-bike for you. Let us know if you have any questions or comments about this e-bike. Also, let us know if you'd be interested in seeing a comparison of this bike versus any other belt drive e-bikes that are out there. Again, just leave us a comment. Subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video. And again, you can always follow us on Instagram and Facebook and other social media platforms. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment. Visit us at top5ebikes.com or some of our social media accounts. Thank you.